Yellow, 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 yellow. How's everybody? It's George Grundy the second, and I'm here. Maybe that's a little better. All right, I'm gonna get started real soon. Just checking things out, make sure we locked in. I haven't done a live mobilely in a long time. So today, I wanted to talk about the psychology of forgetting Flint. Um, what do I mean by that? I mean that there are a lot of constructs on downplaying Flint and downplaying um, the importance of Flint. Now, I made a statement today, and this is where all this is coming from. Uh, I made a statement today and a picture that I put up, and I'm gonna read it. So I was wearing this hat here, and it was today. I just thought about it. Saw the hat. I always, or most of the time, when I purchase hats, I try to put Flint on the side of them, regardless of what type of hat it is. I put Flint on. So my hat has Flint on it, and it reads, "Read the word." And the logos. Flint was the connect that put both them on for what they're known for collectively. Flint is the triple OG, the big homie, the connect. And then I was born, raised, and survived and drank the water. Um, hashtag out of the mud. So for me, it's making a statement on truth about what Flint is, who Flint is, and how we are. You know, the Cadillac company in Detroit would not be who they are and where they are without Flint. Period. Point blank. Beginning end of story. Um, it's like I always get side. Um, folks like to say things on the side or on the slide. They don't want to directly say nothing, so we can have conversations. So it's like, okay, you have a problem with me saying or making those statements, but why can't we have a conversation about it in order to talk about facts? Let's speak about facts. So Flint, General Motors was founded in what 1908. Cadillac was founded in around 1902, and because of that, um, Cadillac had a reputation. It built a reputation on quality and all that other stuff. But so be it. William Durant founded General Motors, and what he was a collector of businesses. He believed in uh, creating a collective in order to empower businesses to do more. So even though Cadillac was known, it wasn't a huge brand. It was like any company that gets bought up by Coca-Cola, the distribution is going to explode as soon as they're a part of Coca-Cola. So be it. The same thing going with General Motors. So General Motors, what did it do? It created a vast distribution and production construct. Period. Cadillac did not have that. Mercury didn't have it. Oldsmobile didn't have it. They needed what Durant had created in order to become what they became. So, and when you look at it, all the names that I've named, and let me pull up some more stuff. All the names that I named, most of them have come and gone. You know, Saturn, Saab. You know, Saab is still around, but Saturn's gone. Oldsmobile's gone. Mercury's gone. All these things were, or companies were a part of a collective that got distributed through a main company, which is called General Motors. So, um, that being said, let me see. That being said, the the whole thing is, why downplay the importance of Flint? Why downplay the importance of what we brought to the table, what we bring to the table, who we are? Without who we are, there is nothing else going on in other places as far as when it comes to innovation, when it comes to thought process, when it comes to a lot of stuff, to how redlining was taken care of and all these different things. So why undermine Flint? Why not give us our just due, and allow us the ability to be able to just be great, you know? Because I mean, we are. So I put down here the psychology of forgetting Flint. So I'm looking at it from a psychological and sociological concept and discussion. Invalidation. So when people, and it's not just talking about the city, it's talking about when people treat or do you that way too. You as a person, you as an individual, you as a business, you as someone that has accomplished a lot, or working on accomplishing a lot, or doing a lot for people. When people undermine or downplay, that is a weapon. That is a tool. That is something that people use in order to try to keep you underneath or beneath. Uh, and some a lot of us fall into the trap of, just going along with it because you don't want to seem like you're too arrogant, or you cocky and stuff like that. But if you're doing great things, then it's not for you to shrink. It's for you to grow, and for you to continue to be great. Don't fall into the other people's substandards, because take for instance with Durant. He's the founder of General Motors. Not kind of, sort of, but is. General Motors is the distribution hub of many different brands, and the lifeline and the blood for many different companies throughout the years. And it's also the reason why there was one of the reasons why the middle class was as strong as it was for as long as it was. So you never take away. Um, so one of these things is invalidation and minimization. Definition: um, diminishing or downplaying another person's thoughts, feelings, or lived experiences. Used use often used in conflict, argument, or power dynamics to reduce credibility or silence. So I go through all that saying that even with this water crisis, even with us not being made whole when it comes to receiving anything from being poisoned. And this thing happened in 11 years ago, that we were poisoning our water at the height was 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, 10 times, 10 times worse than toxic waste. At the height, the water was 10 times worse than toxic waste. You have toxic waste, like you can go and look at a movie and it's the toxic monster or the toxic this, or toxic relationship. We were 10 times worse than any toxic movie or romance novel or anything that you could think. 10 times worse our water was, and we haven't received any just due or any kind of relief from that. um that's that says volumes to me about how our government, you know from whoever was in office. I think Obama was in office at the time. And then, Donald Trump, he was here before he came here. And now he's in office. And, we have Whitmore, she's in office currently. And then at the time it was Snyder. He was in office. It shows to me how little people care about Flint and how much they try to invalidate or minimize us. And then also I'm gonna go into gaslighting. What's gaslighting? Gaslighting definition: psychological manipulation aimed at making a person question their reality or memory. So, uh, are people trying to make us believe that it wasn't as bad as it was? That people didn't get sick, that people didn't die, that there's not any documentation for all of the people that were murdered and that were sickened? Are we being gaslit? Use to use undermines confidence and weakens resistance, often in institutional or interpersonal power plays. So, why are you trying to weaken our resolve, weaken our voice? Okay, what is Flint? Why is Flint so important? What does it matter? Because Flint is the home of the unions. Flint is where the local 599 and others, when the world shut down, Flint was the one to shut it down. Flint, Michigan, not Detroit. It was Flint. They would call Flint and say, "Hey, what we gonna do? We got these places, da da da." And Flint would say, "Hey, Detroit. Hey, Ohio. Hey, Indiana. Hey, whoever else. This is what we're gonna do. This is how we're gonna make this play." People would come here in order to get knowledge and understanding. This was in the sense of the industrial age, of the automotive industrial age. This was the Timbuktu, because people came here. This was this was the Silk Road of the industrial automotive industrial age. This was the Silicon Valley of the industrial automotive industrial age. Flint, Michigan. So what do you do? Why would you want to destroy a community like Flint, Michigan? Because you don't want to have people to resist at the same level as they did when Flint was at its height. When the people from all over the planet were moving to Flint to become engineers and to become to work in the automotive industry. You don't want that kind of power, because guess what? You don't want to have to fight against a union. You don't want to have a collective thought. You want to push people away from stopping or slowing down any kind of progress according to your bottom line. Flint always questioned things. It always said, "Hey, is this too dangerous, or should we create this, or is OSHA going to be able to?" Always questioning everything, making sure that there was a standard, and the standard was high, and that people were able to have a standard of living that made sense, not just outlined or offside like it is now, like what it's turned into. When you get rid of the voices of people, you get rid of equality, you get rid of diversity, you get rid of all types of things that make a country, a community great. When you get rid of the voices of the people, period. There's nothing around that. There's no, you don't have any common law. I don't care who you are, what professor you are, what PhDs you have, what psychological degrees you have. When you get rid of a voice, when you close the mouth of people, then that means that you don't want equality. You don't want people to be able to have a standard. You just want them to be undertow. You want them to be someone or something, or people that just do, but not have a mind of their own. Okay, now we have the structure, which was the automotive industrial structure, which was set up in a sense to where you just created workers. But in that, you created workers that had a livable wage. And that livable wage created an opportunity for them to create children and offspring that were able to be thinkers, that were able to have the ability to grow and become more than what their parents were, more than what the Great Depression had created, more than what the different eras in time had created, more than what Jim Crow was selling us, more than what Reconstruction was trying to give us. It gave a unionized construct, and people falling under the construct of unity and having a voice and having standards of quality gave us the ability to be able to become more. So doing that and not taking for granted the value of a voice and the power of unity and a collective thought, we were able to create what we have. But now we're in deterioration. It's falling apart. That whole structure is just falling down because you take away the voice, because you there were so many things that were misappropriated or disappropriated, or things that the things that you think was going to go away that you never thought were going to be addressed are now being addressed and now coming back. Chickens coming home to roost. Psychological undermining. Definition: tactics used to wear down someone emotionally, such as ridicule, contradiction, or subtle exclusion. Subtle exclusion. Subtle exclusion. Use may appear as microaggressions or in dismissive institutional language. That is a powerful definition of statement. I'm gonna read it again. Psychological undermining. Definition: tactics used to wear down someone emotionally, such as ridicule, contradiction, or subtle exclusion. Use may appear as microaggressions or in dismissive institutional language. Dismissive institutional language. So people are so smart that they say things in a abstract and in subtle way, in microaggressive way, to make you feel stupid, to make you feel like you're retarded, to make you feel dumb, to make you feel like you should shut up because you don't belong in the room, to make you feel like you don't have enough education or enough money or you don't have enough anything in order to even open your mouth. Okay, well, you have enough pain, sickness, and issues in order to be able to respond to the things that you're dealing with. So if you're saying that you have an ailment, if you're saying that you have economic issues because you know you're making $17 an hour, but you don't have that's not a standard of living in order to raise your family. Everybody in the house has to work. Then you have to open your mouth, not just open your mouth, but you have to create an opportunity for yourself to speak in the right forms. You have to create an opportunity for yourself to be seen in the right forms. So whatever that is, when it comes to the justice or the different court systems that are created, whether it be ethics committees or employment and wages committees or whatever, you have to become a part of those things in order to voice yourself. And then sometimes you have to write letters. You have to put things on pen, write things down with pen and paper, and make sure you submit those things so they can't be taken away. You know, when you write it down and you submit it, then that thing has been accepted. It has been transferred through the mail. It has been accepted through a federally stamped process. So they can't just shut you down. And then even if it's not that, then you have to email some things or even do all of it. Email, mail, create opportunities to go online and go through the chats and say these things, but make sure you protect yourself by saving all of the information that you put out there. Don't lose your voice. Don't lose your voice. Uh, so this all started because I put a picture up this morning and I had, you know, a little sly remark that was not public that was like made me believe that they felt like me talking about Flint being the OG was a problem. If it's a fact, it's a fact. If it's the truth and it's a truthful fact, then I don't care about your feelings because it's a truthful fact. You can't take away the value of what it is and where it is I'm from just because you saying, well, oh, this location has this, that. That's great. But that location didn't know crap and didn't have crap until my location created the opportunity for them to be able to sustain or understand certain things. Yeah, they had industry going on, but it wasn't General Motors. It wasn't Flint. It wasn't they wasn't riding like we was riding. So the whole different construct. You had to come here to go there. It didn't go the other way around. Uh, let me see. Coercive control definition: pattern of behavior aimed at domination through intimidation, isolation, and manipulation. Um, use common in abusive relationships and institutions enforcing compliance without explicit force. Cohesive control. I think I'm saying it right. COERCIBE. Control. Definition: pattern of behavior aimed at domination through intimidation, isolation, or manipulation. Use: common in abusive relationships. This is common in abusive relationships and institutions enforcing compliance without explicit force. So, bully tactics, just keeping you in a space where you mentally are too afraid to respond. Is how I take that. It's in a space to where you don't say anything because you're in an abusive relationship. Like we are, like the residents, like the long term residents that are in a certain economic class in Flint are with our municipality. We're in this abusive relationship, uh, and institution enforcing compliance without but we have explicit force going on. Now this is what I'm gonna add to what I'm saying right here. So just because there are things that we don't agree with that go on in the municipal construct doesn't mean that it's not right. Doesn't mean that progress isn't being made. Now, when people are in certain positions, and I'm not giving any passes at all, because I have all kinds of reasons on being upset at everybody. But that doesn't mean that common sense should be used. And when you don't sit in a seat of or a position of authority or a position of the people that you represent, then sometimes you don't know the decisions that have to be made. That said, the decisions that have to be made by people that begged, asked, and rallied for you to support their election shouldn't become tyrancy. It shouldn't become something where you are put. It reverses to where the power goes into this one person, and then they put the whip down on the majority of the people. They make the people feel as if they have no voice when you ask them to be their voice. That's that's straight ridiculous. And then when people ask to be in position to protect and serve, that means just that. That doesn't mean that you come into a community just because you don't look like them or just because you don't understand their concept and then you become a monster. You don't use terms of when you do something wrong that my boys or these kids, because you're not kids, you're an adult when you become an enforcer of the law. You are an adult when you take the oath of office. You're an adult. So when you say those things, that means that you're already planning on the language that you're going to use when you do illegal stuff under a legal vise. And then when you are a person that holds office, if you are someone that has very low morals or your scruples are upside down and backwards, then that means that you shouldn't have asked for the position, but you got it. So what are you going to do for your constituents? And then who are your constituents? But I digress from that because that doesn't mean that everybody's evil or wrong. We may not see what we would like to see in order to understand what's going on. Uh, in this community, there's a great divide when it comes to wealth and poverty, and the understanding on how to reach the reach that place and where the pathway is for that. So there are several successful business people and entrepreneurs and folks that have come out and that are in the Flint community. And what I don't like is when people that are in a lower economic space or in an economic space or a environment where they don't have any leadership or any sense of I don't want to say power or sense of authority in what they do in their life, that they say a lot of weird stuff about people that do have those things, that do bring resources and are trying to bring resources. Now, are some of the things that people say about these folks true? Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure. And for me, some of the things that have been said about some folks, I've went to them directly and asked them about it, and I got responses that were not the same as what people were saying about them. They're actually completely opposite. Now, if a person was lying to me to my face, then that's between them and the universe and the creator. And if they lying about what they doing and how they doing and they doing illegal stuff, then guess what? It's gonna come back around. It's gonna come back around. Karma and the universe and all these things. God does not play around like that. You can't just keep taking and taking and taking and thinking. You have to sacrifice something in order to maintain what you're doing. And the sacrifice has to be something that is valuable to you, not other people that's outside of you that you don't control. You can't. It has to be something within your circle, within your household, within your longing, within your hand reach. You know, the sacrifice of others that don't have your same mindset doesn't work. That's not how the universe works. So, um, you take from people because you're greedy, but you think it's a sacrifice because you're trying to maintain yourself. But all that is just you building up a kinetic energy that's going to hit you upside the face and in the soul and in the spirit and be cancerous to you and your loved ones and your so-called empires. But I digress from that. Um, Cultural assured, narrative and suppression. Definition: systematic invalidation or omission of a group's contribution to history, society, or culture. Use Used to centralize certain geographies or groups while discrediting others, uh, like the Flint versus Detroit narrative. Everybody looks at Detroit like they the big homie. That's great. That's fine. And Detroit is a wonderful, beautiful place that's in Michigan. But when it comes to the automotive industrial era, they're not the big homie. Flint is. Um, yeah. So all I said, I just have a strong passion for my community. I'm here uh as many times in the last couple years that I'm like, why am I still here? Why? But I'm consistently working on building, and not working. I'm consistently building and creating opportunities for myself and others around me. I'm consistently becoming the best version of myself, and building myself each day as much as I can, as much as I know how to. Uh, I don't have all the answers to nothing, but I every day that I get up, I work on trying to be a better version of me so I can have more answers than I did the day before. So I can have more solutions than I did the day before. So I can help more people than I did the day before. Um, that's for me and where I am, that's an interesting space because I have to daily get rid of a lot of bias because I have been and can be that biased person and saying, "Oh, well, how did you do that?" In my mind, because I have to renew myself even in real time. Sometimes in my mind, I have to look at it and say, "Hey, so I guess they part of the problem because they stole money from the community." I guess they part of the problem because they're being used by the system in order to, gentrify the community, or I have to look at those things and assess it um as best I can, but I have to work on how I assess those things, um because my viewpoint can be skewed based on my experiences. And my experiences don't necessarily mean that my response is the best response that should be upfront in my thoughts. So I work at trying to adjust my biases to bring more facts and truth into my scope of thinking. Um, Now this community is a growing community. Um, we've got a lot of funding, and I'm not going to be too much longer. I'm at 31 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm gonna try to be maybe another 10 minutes and then I'm done. Uh, so there's been a lot of investment going on in the community in Flint, Genesee County. That investment, let me see if I can find it. That investment, that's a short version. Uh, since 2000 has been an extreme amount. There's been an extreme amount of money from different spaces and places. Uh, Still know what I'm looking for, but the investments have been vast. Let me see. Let me see. Flint, Michigan investment overview from 2000 to 2025. Now, water infrastructure and federal state support, total investment 400 million plus from federal and state funding. Over 400 million was allocated following the Flint water crisis, primarily through EPA and state sources. 100 million from the EPA drinking water state uh, drinking water state revolving fund for lead service lines replacement and system modernization. 10,000 lead service lines replaced between 2016 and 2025, costing over $90 million. Additional 4.75 million dedicated to replacing properties dis- um, disturbed by lead pipe replacement. Um, Purpose: ensure safe drinking water, replace aging infrastructure, restore damaged residential zones. Um, and the source was the EPA.gov, cityoflint.com, AP, Chicago Fed, and Washington Post. Genesee County Administrative uh, Consolidation. Total investment 25 to 30 million. Renovation of 130,000 square foot downtown facility to consolidate all county services. 10 million grant from Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, funded jointly through American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA funds, and county general operating budget. Um, the purpose: consolidate 14 departments into one accessible centralized building, improve operational efficiency, accessibility, and public service delivery. Source: Genesee County, Michigan.com, WNEM News, Mott Foundation reports. ARPA funded urban redevelopment, demolition of blighted structures, 16 million allocated from ARPA to Genesee County Land Bank. Demolition demolished. Okay, demolished over 1,900 vacant structures. St. John Street Memorial Park, 1 million in ARPA. allocation for development and design of the park. Chevy Commons Urban State Park, 26 million. Redevelopment effort transforming an old industrial site into Michigan's first urban state park, funded through state, federal, and local partnerships. Purpose: environmental revitalization, public recreation, and urban beautification. Cultural recognition, historical Black neighborhood hoods. Sources: Michigan.gov, Mont Foundation, at cityoflint.com. Education and cultural investments. Flint Community Schools, 35.9 million awarded in 2025 for a new Flint High School. Uh, Consolidates multiple aging facilities, provides upgraded classroom, athletic facilities, and tech infrastructure. Flint Cultural Center, $30,000 grant from the Mott Foundation in 2024. Uh, Continues multi-year legacy of millions in funding for Sloan Museum, Flint Institute of Arts, and Whiting Auditorium. Purpose: modernize learning environments, attract new residents, and retain talent. Sustain community arts and culture. Source: Mott.org, Flint Journal, Genesee Intermediate School District. Private sector and institutional contribution. General Motors, 815 million in Flint assembly plant modernization, 233 million in Flint Metal Center upgrades. Elder Credit Union, over 170 million in federally backed community investment. And CDFI aligned lending, focused on small business support, minority owned entrepreneurship, minority owned enterprises, and affordable lending in Flint. Okay. We also have Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, uh, I pronounce that. Communicative. I can't pronounce the word. Contribution. Estimated at 250 million plus invested in Flint since 2000. Areas funded youth and education programs, civic infrastructures, health equity, neighborhood revitalizations. Purpose: reinvestment in local workforce and economic base. Expand exclusive lending access. Ensure long-term stabilization of the post-crisis economy. Source: gm.com, press release, cdfi.org, Mott Foundation annual reports. Summary and table, capital flow and impact. Let's see. That's something I would have to show you in a PowerPoint. It breaks down everything I just said. Uh, 7.4 Vision 2025 to 2035. Imagine Flint Master Plan updated. Directs housing, zoning, and green space strategy. Chevy Commons completion and programming, education, partnerships, wellness events, tourism, veteran focused infrastructure, opportunity for programs to advocate for veteran service officer centers, veteran service officers centers, public private collaboratives. Um, yeah. So those are things that funding, different stuff about funding and money that has been going on in Flint since 2020. Uh, and it's a lot of money. That's not even including the money that has been spent on the expressways. Uh, then you see all the road work that's going on right now. Uh, you see all of the different infrastructure work that's going on as far as in Genesee County itself. Um, and it's dynamic. Uh, is that something that's to distract us from other things to make us feel like progress is happening while money is being usurped and spent and sent somewhere else. Maybe, maybe not. I'm not sure, but things are progressing. At least road work, at least infrastructure stuff. Now, uh, that doesn't take away from your everyday issue of trying to create a better life for yourself. Um, that within itself is a struggle, and because it's like, how do you make sense of life when inflation is ruling how valuable the dollar that you make and bring home each day is? It creates a bias in the way that you in the hours that you work. It makes it make no sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Like, working for what? You're trying to make it make sense, but you never have enough in order to sustain. Just having a quality of life that makes sense. Me as a veteran, and a disabled veteran at that I'm on a fixed income and I work a lot, and it's not traditional work, and I don't get paid for what I do. Um, and it's my disability benefits are barely scratching what's needed. But am I complaining? Yep. And but I'm not sitting down and just letting it, control my life to the sense to where I'm not going to fight as much as I can. Um, you know, there's a lot that I could say on that point, but that's a whole different subject matter. And I'm almost done. I'm trying to look because I had made notes. I was doing notes all throughout the day because it's just so much stuff that had hit me when that statement was like a passive statement of trying to play Flint to the left, like we not who we are. We are Flint. We're the home. We are that spot. We created this situation of the industrial age of where people have a middle class to call something worth something. Um, similarly sources, the education. I thought I had wrote down. I thought I had made a note for the expressways and stuff. Um, I'm not seeing it at the ARPA funds again. Okay, nope. Chevy Commons, County Administration Building, outgoing settlements, 100 million replacement, beds, PA. Investment. Uh, almost done. I'm almost out y'all here, man. Uh, we're at 43 minutes and 50 seconds, and I'm about to. I don't see where I made the notes. Uh, Flint Public Library, new school. Flint Community Schools were awarded 35.9 million in grant in April to build a new high school. That's I already read that. Uh, okay, residential developments. In recent years, Flint has seen construction of several new apartment complexes with a focus on mixed income housing. There have been at least a few hundred new units developed with funding from both private investors and state housing funds. Okay, downtown hotel development, a new hotel downtown, which is indeed a Marriott, so a mix of public and private investment. This included some local economic development funds along with private financing. Altogether, the hotel project was in the tens of millions of dollars range, designed to boost downtown Flint's hospitality and tourism infrastructure. Uh, a couple more things. Marshall Center. Uh, If y'all didn't know, I just read. I didn't read the whole thing, but I believe Elga has just merged with another credit union. So I'm not sure if that credit union is the dominant credit union or if Elga is the dominant credit union, but uh, there's a merger that just happened. Okay, highways and expressways improvements. Around 700 million has been invested into highways and expressway infrastructure projects, improving regional transportation. Uh, I'm gonna get more information. I know I have more information on that. Oh, cool. But that's about it. So don't let people downplay your value, downplay who you are, what you are, and what your value is. That's the biggest key of this, is not to allow that to happen. To make sure that the psychology that people play on you, you don't allow it. That you let them know that you are as valuable as you know you are, as you say you are, as your community has done. Your history. Look, the redlining. What was her name? Beasley. Her last name's Beasley, or like Olivia, or Olive Beasley. She was the one that led the charge when it came to the housing rights for Black folk. She was the one that caused this whole thing to spread off when they had the sit downs at City Hall. She was that woman. She did the thing. So um don't ever let anybody lessen your value or tell you, oh, you know, you don't want you want the credit. You want the credit. You want the recognition. You want the certificate. You want the degree. You want everything that you have worked hard for. You want it all. Period. Don't shrink for nobody. Period. Don't shrink. Because when you shrink, the other people get the opportunity to take credit for things that they did not do, that they did not produce, that they did not create, that they did not have a hand in. They just had your idea. They just had the conversation that you get. They just jumped on your back and they became a aurora, uh, or one of those fish that hang on the side of sharks. If you are a shark or you're a great a blue whale and you're out here and you're massive when your thought process and what you do, stay massive. And let whatever is you don't eat feed the ones around you, but don't let them take charge or take authority or take ideas or make it more than what they are. Who they are, they done what they done. And if it's a team, it's a team, so the team wins together. But don't let people play you short, like you man, whatever, all that stuff with the birds. So stay strong, stay encouraged, keep getting it out the mud.